crazy enough?
You're getting there. Give it a shake. Now it's on perfect.
All right. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you for being here. Coach Mike is on deck and live. So today, we're going to do something a little different. I just was going to have Mike kind of from an insider's perspective talk about coaching basically from two different, like a remote location and a live location.
Yes.
So Mike, why don't you just go ahead and tell us what you were doing this weekend?
Okay, so this weekend was kind of torn between two events. So down at our gym, StoutPGH, I'm the head MMA coach as well as one of the head competition coaches for our Jiujitsu team as well. And this weekend put me in two spots. This weekend we had the Pan American Games for no-gi Jiu-Jitsu, in which a portion of our team was down there competing. And we also had one of our very bright future stars coming up, Brittany Bickart, fighting in an MMA fight in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And no-gi Pans was in Garland, Texas. So, it was impossible for me to bounce back and forth between both or attend both. So, it put me in a unique spot of, I would say, maybe extra stress this weekend. So I elected to go to Brittany's fight. I felt like I had a larger impact there and was more needed at that event, whereas at the no-gi Pans event, since we had a handful of competitors there, I believe that they could help coach each other. And it wouldn't be as much of a drop-off as if I wasn't at Brittany's fight. So it led to some really exciting and no downtime boring moments, between watching the jiu-jitsu competitors compete Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, getting Brittany on weight on Friday for her weigh-ins, taking her through her media tour on Thursday, and then getting her in the right mental spot to compete and fight on Saturday. We were really busy, and so some unique things. I think this was the first time I had to really split myself like that. Normally we can like schedule things better, but when good fights come up, they come up and you have to take them. So with the Pans, they were streamed live on Flow Grappling, so I was able to watch in live time, and therefore I was able to give some feedback to the athletes in between their matches. One of our athletes who went on a very deep run, Christian Schaefer, he ended up taking the silver medal in the blue belt middleweight division. He ended up having 6 matches to get there. It was very, very deep brackets, so in his bracket there was, nearly 64 competitors. So he had his round of 64, round of 32, round of 16, then quarters, semis, and finals for his 6 matches, which was a very, very busy time, because in between his matches, I'm like, all right, he's got this guy next. I go back and I scout that guy's videos, watch his matches that he did that day, and I'm like, hey, Christian, he likes to do A, B, and C. We're going to try to do D, E, and F to counter that, setting up game plans, stuff like that, and also having some brief review over the previous match that an athlete would have had. Which was a lot of fun, but it was an incredibly hectic and busy 3 hours. During that same 3 hours, Brittany had gotten herself on weight and was waiting for weigh-ins, which is the most miserable time for a fighter. So I think it actually worked out in a cool way to where it took some distraction off of Brittany, because she was able to just sit there and watch me in the moment of freaking out about this run that our athletes were going on at the Pan American Games. So yeah, I mean, in a span of 3 hours, I felt like I watched a month's worth of jiu-jitsu, right? Because all right, his first opponent didn't have any footage on him. So you just kind of go and let it rip. But then the second opponent, he had a first match, so I go back and watch that. Third opponent had 2 matches prior, so I go watch both of those. Fourth opponent had 3 prior, and then so forth, and you see how it goes. So it was a lot of dissecting jiu-jitsu on the run, coming up with game plans on the run, which is a cool, interesting challenge that I really liked. And it gave us some really good insight moving forward on how beneficial it was to have a scout off scene, because had I been on scene, I wouldn't have been able to run through all those matches, right? You don't know if the arena has the cell service or the Wi-Fi to allow you to load these things up that quick and view these things in that time. Plus you're in a chaotic environment and perhaps coaching other athletes as well, so you're being torn between different things, so you don't get that scout. So one thing that we're going to try to potentially employ, and usually only for major tournaments,
sure,
not the more minor ones. But like having someone who is at home, who we trust their scouting ability, do the job that I did for this event, because ideally I am actually at the event, not only coaching but competing as well. So we saw a lot of good jiu-jitsu. Christian obviously was our highlight of this past weekend, but also Vince, went out, he got a rear naked choke in his first match, and then he lost to the 4 seed in the quarterfinals, so he had a great run at brown belt middleweight.
Nice.
And he looked great throughout the entire thing, and he's he's actually very undersized for that weight class. He elected to move up to the middleweight weight class because we felt like it was a better style fit, and he could, as you get older, you kind of thicken up a little bit, and that way he could kind of like continue to grow into it rather than drain his body on cutting down to the lightweight weight class.
That makes sense.
So a lot of fun. And then we also had Claire compete as well, and some of our our friends from the other local schools who come down and train with us often, Chris Dempsey and Isaac Greeley, both won gold medals in their division. So that was really fun. And then we move on to Brittany's fight, and like when you're a fighter at you're away at the fight, right? And it's crazy. And we talked about like all the work that goes in to preparing for a fight, like 8-week training camp, training twice a day, sacrifices on your diet, your social life, things of that nature. The hit it takes on you mentally, right? Like you're constantly like up and down. You have a bad round in sparring, it's the end of the world. You have a good round, you're on top of the world. Concerns about the fight, getting nervous, and I think a lot of it is like the large build up to that little event, right? Like her fight was an amateur fight, so it was scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. So you're talking about 9 minutes of competition in which she put easily 100 hours of training into. And then after that training, we're talking about all the other sacrifices you're making, and sometimes these fights can go 7 seconds, one punch knockout. That can happen. And Brittany prepared well. She was in a great mental state, which I was really impressed with for an amateur fighter, because it's a nerve-wracking moment, especially she was on a card that was kind of a bigger deal that amateurs don't usually get on. It was mainly a professional card, so it had a tremendous pay-per-view, great social media following, media attention and stuff. So she's getting all this like professional attention as an amateur, which is a gift and a curse in itself, right? It's the curse of like, why should an amateur have to deal with all these extra stressors? But it's a gift on now you're so prepared to be a pro. So like we have that, and she handled it just terrifically. Her training camp was phenomenal. She really focused on certain things, and we had certain goals for that fight. Things that we felt like, she lacked in the past. Like, I'll just put it out there. She's fast. She's very fast. But if you watch her fights, I don't think she's fast. I'm like, Brittany, like you're moving slow, this and that. You're kind of plodding around. Speed is your best attribute. You got to use it. You got to use it right now. So the goal was to fight fast, and she absolutely went out there and fought fast. And I think why she was fighting slow was just like, like nerves, and like it's like, oh, it's the moment, right? And stuff like that. So getting over the moment. In her pre-fight pressers, she talked with the broadcast team about like her training camp, because they want to have things like that so during the fight they can like say like some background knowledge on the fighter. And they actually gave her what I considered a great compliment. They said that when she said that she needed the fight faster, they were taken back by it, because she had fought for them in April, and when they were building the footage to like make the highlight tapes and the promotional materials, they actually had to slow her highlight down because she was moving too fast.
Some Bruce Lee stuff. But
to us, it wasn't fast enough. And it wasn't fast enough not because like, oh, she's too slow. It's just I knew she could be faster. And in a game of so many variables, you have to accentuate, those things that you're really good at. It'd be a mistake to go in and not use your best assets. You know what I mean? Imagine you were a tremendous black belt and you're like, I'm just going to stand and bang. Right? Like it's like, oh, like, well, are you trying to prove a point, or are you trying to succeed in this environment? So it was really fun. And Brittany won by first round rear naked choke.
Hell yeah.
Right, a buzzer beater as well. It was a competitive first round. She definitely took the lead of it at the end of the first round, meaning that had it not been finished, she would be winning at that point of the fight. And momentum was certainly going in our way, meaning that I believe that the fight only would have got more and more decisive as time went on. But, you know, she got the finish with about 2 seconds left with a rear naked choke. And a rear naked choke without hooks in. So you guys should be on the lookout in the near future. We're going to kind of talk about position before submission and submission before position and how they complement each other. So, you know, the weekend was a gift that seems to just keep on giving.
Nice. I love that you just said that, because I've been trying to do just that, like getting behind somebody, and without the hooks, you know, we can talk about it later, but like the hooks being, like, sometimes they hold you back a little bit.
Yes.
Make you less mobile, right?
Yeah.
You know, if my feet are on the ground like this rather than underneath me.
Yes.
I can be behind you. Yeah. So
we'll get so many things. Yeah, that's a whole. If we go into that now, this video will be crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah. But I really appreciate it. So you asking me to discuss that weekend, something certainly new that we haven't done, and like perhaps after like larger events, like we'll catch you guys up. You know, maybe that will even further entice you to come down and train.
Come down and train. All right. Well, I think it's pretty good for this video. Thanks for your insight, Coach Mike. Appreciate
it.
Absolutely. And congratulations to everybody from here that kicked ass over the weekend, and all of our friends as well from Pittsburgh. So yeah, congratulations to everybody, and thanks for watching. Do all the liking and the subscribing and shit like that. And come down and train. It's real.